It's 157 days until Christmas 2020. Hold on one second. I'll be right with you. Uh, right before I came up last time. So Mrs. Claus wanted to know when the reindeer had been last out. So I wanted to let her know. Hey, we're talk about story variety expanded on today. John Boyega has been in the news over the weekend. He got active on Instagram and had some back and forth. And the short of it is that he wants to move away from Star Wars for a while. He wants to spend some time doing other projects. And it kind of threw up a big firestorm, as it does anytime anything Star Wars comes out. And Finn's character is one that a lot of people feel is underutilized, that it's underdeveloped, and there's a lot of space to expand on the story, the backstory, and going forward. That even within the sequel trilogy itself, there was room for his character to grow a lot more. And that's really what is at the heart of this, that a lot of fans would like to see more of Finn. And Colin, I see you here. That Finn's one of the favorite parts, and it's so sad to see him go. So the question is, when might we see more from Finn's character, whether John Boyega is involved in it or not? And if we go back to the original trilogy, we talk about, famously, Harrison Ford tried to step away from Star Wars on several occasions, and he wasn't really interested in continuing the character on, but it was so popular with the fans that it continued. Alec Guinness did it for a paycheck. Wasn't really interested in carrying the Obi-Wan character on forward. These actors, they want to have careers that far surpass Star Wars, and they don't want to be typecast into a particular role. And John Boyega is like this. One thing that came out, and I'm kind of going to jump, kind of go back in time a little bit. So if we would, I've got a news story up here. Both of these are from Variety. So let me turn this on so you guys can see. Here we go. So, in Variety, back in December of 2019, John Boyega was quoted as saying, "You ain't gonna Disney Plus me." So that's the quote here on Variety. But the short of it was that after the Rise of Skywalker, he wanted to move on to other projects, and he was asked back in December, when the movie was released, if he would continue on with the character. And he said, "You're not going to Disney Plus me," back then, with a laugh. And he was talking about the Star Wars TV series, talking about The Mandalorian, the Obi-Wan series, Cassian Andor series, and now we've had, of course, other live action like Ahsoka and things brought up. And the discussion was, at the time, was saying, would he be interested in doing a Disney Plus? And he says, I ain't getting no Disney Plus. I'll watch it, but I want to stay in feature films, which I thought was an interesting quote at the time, more of a broad statement saying that he was more interested in doing feature films and not into doing streaming services. But subsequent to that, he has signed on for some series. More recently, one of the ones is a series, Steve McQueen's series Small Axe on the BBC. That's a series that he's agreed to do for the BBC. Not only that, but Netflix has signed the exclusive rights for the streaming service here in the U.S. So it turns out that Boyega has also signed some Netflix deals for small projects that he wants to work on. So even though we see this, the quote in here is saying that he wanted to stay in feature films. That was the quote. He says, "I ain't getting no Disney Plus. I'm watching it though, but I'll stay in feature films." That statement led me to believe, anyway, that he wasn't interested in doing streaming service. He wanted to stay away, sort of like back when we had movie actors that didn't want to go to do TV. Boyega is saying he wants to stay in feature films. He doesn't want to go to streaming services. That's how I took it. But since then, he signed on a few deals now that are going to end up on Netflix. I don't know if there's a beef there with Disney itself, that he's unwilling to do deals with Disney, or if this was just off the cuff. He tends to say these things and then expand upon them, and he's not afraid of controversy, and he stepped in it a few times and then and stood firm. He doesn't like to back off of it. He'll push the envelope. So what he said most recently is, and this is from today, July 20th, 2020, John Boyega says he's moved on from his Star Wars character. And in here, it started by this Instagram quote where this user, Tech Stevio, wrote, "Force Finn in action with a green lightsaber dressed in black is all I want in the next Star Wars film." And Boyega replied, "LOL, no thank you, I've moved on," heart emoji. Well, that's all it took, folks. From him saying no thanks, I've moved on. Then we got a quote right after that from another guy, Sam Kim 1, said, "Really, just got those Disney bucks and dipped." So saying, took the paycheck and run, huh? And Boyega replied back saying, "No, that's not it," right? So again, people just try to take it down a certain path, and he stopped him here and he said, no, that wasn't the case. He's not into playing the role for too long. I have more to offer than that. That's all. So again, saying, back in December, we saw him say, no, he wants to stay in feature films. He knew Star Wars was going to go a different direction. He wasn't interested in staying with that character. And now he's saying here that he's also just not interested in going into more Star Wars and staying with Finn's character. And in this, right after that, this Anthony M95 wrote, "You know they're bad movies when you don't want to go back." And Boyega still, he didn't respond to that particularly, but he has responded in other contexts. And I'll skip to lower in the article where somebody back in April, you'll see here, mentioned can't be as embarrassing as Rise of Skywalker, and Boyega replied back, again, this is April 19th, embarrassing? LOL, you wish. Very fulfilling. Some disappointments, but yet not that big of a deal. Everyone's moved on. You see, again, from a career aspect wise, Boyega really seems interested in staying with feature films, as he said back in December, but in going other directions, exploring other projects. He doesn't want to be typecast as that Star Wars guy. I don't, Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher both had limited careers outside, as far as film industry, as outside the Star Wars franchise. Now, Mark Hamill has found himself a terrific career in voice acting. Some of his Joker voice acting is some of the most popular within that franchise, within the DC universe. There is. He's one of the most beloved voice actors there. He's done lots of other voice acting work as well, but you don't. There's a high correlation with Mark Hamill in Star Wars, just as there was with Carrie Fisher. We see with some of the others who were less willing to be as tightly correlated. Again, Harrison Ford being notable, that had careers outside of Star Wars, both leading in and then going out. In Boyega's case, he falls closer to that Harrison Ford model. He had a career going in. He has a very clear idea where he wants to go out, and he wants to take a break. I found it interesting that he is he's notable for having some criticism of The Last Jedi. Some of the folks who are really, really critical of The Last Jedi kind of cling on to that, and they try to make a really, really big deal of it. But Boyega has kind of damped it down, more along the lines of hello, Stormy. Good to see you here this evening. So yeah, Boyega's kind of gone the same direction of Mark Hamill as far as being open in his comments, but then fans taking those things and running with them. And Boyega has been critical of his role in The Last Jedi, and so people run with that. Of course, here we saw in Rise of Skywalker, they tried to do put the same bait out there, but he didn't take it. I wanted to come back up because the question is, would he ever revisit Finn? And I think we've seen with all of the actors in the sequel trilogy where they've expressed interest. Daisy Ridley kind of moved on. She's not stated a strong interest in returning to those movies right away. We haven't. John Boyega here as well, and Oscar Isaacs has been involved in lots of other projects. Those are your big three, and the question is, would they come back for additional roles? And even coming out of the original trilogy, we went a long time before there were additional Star Wars movies, and we don't end up back with the original trio there for more than 20 years. So could we see Boyega, Ridley, and Isaacs reunited in the future? I want to remain optimistic with that. But I'd also like to follow up to say I think that there's room for animated series where maybe the roles will be played but by voice actors. That's been my hope for some time. I've talked about it. The prequel trilogy to me had lots of holes and lots of problems it created for me, and the animated series, Clone Wars animated series, helped fill some of that for me and make that the prequel movies more enjoyable for me. I am hoping that we get an animated series around the time between the Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, and maybe then even another series around the end of The Rise of Skywalker, following Rey and Finn as they began to establish maybe a Jedi Academy, similar to the now extended universe novels of the young Jedi Knights, where they're in Luke Skywalker's Jedi Academy. Good afternoon. We see Russell and Trinity. Thanks for joining, you guys. Good to see you guys this afternoon, and thanks for joining. I'm hoping that we do see some animated stuff coming out around these characters. But I wanted to go back. So Boyega said there's this quote back up here where it talked about somebody asked whether he would ever return as Moses from Joe Cornish's Attack of the Block. Now, I'm not familiar with this. I don't know if any of you guys have watched it, if you're familiar with this. I did think it was funny that his sense of time is a little off. If this is 2011, Santa's math anyway, says 2020 minus 2011, or I don't even have to use a spreadsheet like Adam Fanjecture. He did some spreadsheet work for us. Santa's math tells me that's 9 years. 2020 minus 2011 is 9. So that's 9 years. They asked John Boyega if he'd ever return on this 2011. He says, I haven't played Moses in over a decade. Over a decade is more than 10, John. Just thought I would share that. 2009 9 is less than 10. Over a decade is more than 10. So we've got a little time discrepancy there. So might we see John Boyega return to Finn, say, in over a decade? whether that's 9 years or actually more than 10, whatever that might be. Might he rejoin? Might we see Daisy, John, and Oscar together? I hope so. I'm very optimistic on that. I know there's been a lot of criticism about how Disney is now doing all these Star Wars things around the prequel era because of the popularity of the Clone Wars. We're going to get the Bad Batch series. We've even the Mandalorian and some of the spin-offs from there happened right after OT, but we don't see a lot of things coming in this era of the sequel trilogy when you might want to see a splurge of content. So people use that to drive a wedge. You go back to the prequels, and that hate existed for a very, very long time. And it's not until now that we've seen the interest in the prequel era, or people want to see that expanded. The Clone Wars animated series helped get us there, and that took a period of years and years. So it doesn't surprise me at all that coming out of the sequel trilogy, that they might take a little hiatus on that, allow the fandom to age a little bit, allow that to grow, and then build some stuff off of it. So I'm hopeful that we see this revisited in the future. I can't guarantee that it will. I'll turn that off. So what are your thoughts? I know that there's a great potential around Finn's character specifically. His relation to the other troopers. And we already saw in The Rise of Skywalker where he connected with other former troopers who left off of conscientious reasons. Maybe some of the connectivity to the Force, being Force sensitive. It seemed that maybe that was the kind of thing that helped pull some of these folks away. So I know there's some discussion over lost opportunity for Finn, maybe to go get more of these stormtroopers and bring them into the Resistance. And we didn't see that happen during the Resistance era. But might he be involved in a post-Resistance kind of thing, in trying to force out more Force sensitives, working with Rey, and then maybe training them. RC, good afternoon. Thanks for joining. Good to see you. What do you all think? Any thoughts out there on Finn's character, John Boyega, and the future that we might see with John filling that role of Finn in any projects, whether it be Disney Plus or feature films, as he mentioned back in December? Do you think that door will be open after time, or do you think that it's closed, that he's moved on entirely? I know that his comments say that he's only feature films and that he's moved on. But does that mean forever? Or does that just mean he wants to take a break and maybe he'll come back to it after he's explored some other aspects of his career? Let's see. Well, I'll give you guys a chance to comment on that. The other point towards that is, at least, and I've mentioned it on Adam's show in the morning, is I think as we see more of the movie studios, the studios moving towards streaming services, that some of these actors who have seen themselves as feature film actors only will be more willing to visit those kind of things. Hey, Adam. Thanks for joining. Good to see you. I just mentioned you. Only way we see Finn is the animated form replaced by a voice actor. I do think that that's the case, at least in the short term. Absolutely, at least in the short term. RC, Finn had enough trouble staying in Rise of Skywalker. Felt like every 10 minutes he was like, I'm coming with you, Rey. I know a lot of people really criticize Finn and his attraction to Rey, his kind of chasing her, and there's lots of kind of memes around him yelling Ray. That's one of his go-to lines. In Rise of Skywalker, one of the major complaints of it is that it seems a little frenetic, that it skips around from scene to scene. We don't have a continuity in there, that the movie needed to be longer to be able to breathe and to have more character development, more of the story unfold. So I'll throw that in there with as far as RC, your comment there, I would put that into that category. And I don't know, I see you're saying only to have her say no. I don't know that that's the way I see it. And when I read the novels, it doesn't seem that Rey is shutting him out. In fact, in the Last Jedi novelization, junior novelization, even more so. But even in the novelization itself, there are times where Rey's thoughts are about Finn. She's thinking of him. She's wondering if he's okay and those kind of things. We see also, of course, Finn is thinking of her all the time. So there is a connection there, and we subsequently know, and it's revealed in the Rise of Skywalker in the movie itself, that he's force sensitive and that he wanted to share with her that he knows more about what she's going through than she knows that he knows, because she thinks she's going through this on her own, because this force sensitivity and folks like Rey or like Finn and Poe and the others can't understand what she's going through because they're not force sensitive, and I think she's trying to say that. RC, JJ, let's see what she said. JJ Abrams missed his true calling as a set designer. Ooh, shots fired. JJ Abrams, I'm a fan and a critic. I think most people are. He is fantastic at setting up, at getting the story set up to get people involved, engaged in this story. Most famously, Lost. That TV series was extremely popular, got people invested in it, and the kind of things that were being unfolded throughout it, the mystery box, if you will. Those mystery boxes had great payoffs, and then people kept getting more and more invested, only to have that last season come back, and the way that it ended really disappointed a lot of people, and they thought that he completely missed the landing. And he gets a lot of criticism over landings, right? So if you put it in the pilot analogy, he's great at the takeoff and getting the ship up, but not so good at bringing it back down. Irish, where's the hat? Oh boy, where is the hat? I moved things around. We had some things going on. The hat is way over there. So I could go get the hat, but I can do this for you because I've got these within reach. The next time I'll have the hat there. I've got the glasses here. When I've got to get up close, they really help out. So I don't have the hat, but well, thanks for joining us this afternoon. So J.J. Abrams not so great at sticking to landings. With Rise of Skywalker, he was tasked with sticking the landing, and I think for a lot of people, he satisfied at least going back to some fan service and giving folks who were being very vocal about what they disliked about the sequels some answers and kind of tying some loose threads up. But at the same time, because it was so frenetic, right? Like it just was trying to tell a whole lot of story in a compact amount of time, that it was unsatisfying. So it didn't have a lot of meat there to help carry that on. Adam, JJ's overrated. That might be the case. It's just me personally. I enjoyed the first Star Trek movie. I thought that was really, really good. I enjoyed it a lot. The kind of reimagining of Star Trek in how they used a time shift there to change things and to kind of reboot that franchise. It worked for me. I loved it, and I was a big Star Trek fan back in the '90s, late '80s. The Next Generation era was really big with me. I loved it, and we would watch those and we would talk about it. There was a bit of a fan group in my unit in the Army, and we would talk about it during the week after watching the episodes. So there were several of us. We'd have some watch parties from time to time. We'd watch episodes together. We were really big into it, and then I followed that with Deep Space Nine and Voyager and Scott Bakula's Enterprise series. I enjoyed all of those, and so I say it as being a fan of Star Trek, that when he rebooted it, I enjoyed it, me personally. I know a lot of the Star Trek community hate J.J. Abrams for what he did to that franchise. But I like that first movie. I'm not so keen on the retelling of Khan. I think he kind of missed some things. There's some huge plot holes in that are kind of unforgivable. And then in that third movie, I enjoyed it, but it's a very forgettable movie as far as the movie is concerned. So I'll give you that as far as him being a little overrated. I've been very anxious to find out what he's going to do with the DC stuff. Warner Brothers signed Bad Robot Productions on, and presumably J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot are supposed to be leading that franchise going forward, but that has been completely silenced. There's nothing coming out with all of this DC stuff, and we've got the DC fandom coming up. I've not heard a peep about Bad Robot, J.J. Abrams, and the DC universe. Maybe coming out of DC fandom, we'll get something, but until then, it's been silence, absolute silence. So I have no idea what they're going to do there. So let's see. I did like the first Star Trek as well, but I find that to be exception instead of the rule. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. You guys, the lens flares. Boy, he got really nailed for those lens flares in that movie. And people, it became a thing. JJ and his lens flares. And I'll be honest, at the very beginning of Rise of Skywalker, when we have the Falcon skipping, it was very Star Trek-esque for me. I haven't heard a single person mention it, but and I didn't want to bring it up because there's so much hate out there in the fandom to latch onto things, and all they need is just a little bit of bait to grab onto. But for me, that's always felt a little bit Star Trek-ish, and there's a few scenes in there that look like they were grabbed directly out of the Star Trek universe, and I was like, ooh, and I've been a little surprised that I haven't seen a lot more. DC needs to stick to animated movies. While we're off topic, we're going down this route. There was an interview this morning with Zack Snyder, and I listened to the interview later today. I can barely stand to listen to what's her name that interviewed him. Her voice is absolutely grating. I can't take it. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I can't take it, and I don't care for her content. I don't care for her take on things. I know that Josh at Den of Nerds is a big simp for her, but for me, not so much. I did listen to Zack Snyder's thing, and the headline coming out of there was that the Zack Snyder Justice League was not going to be part of the DC extended universe or a cinematic universe. But when you listen to the interview, Snyder mentions how there's a multiverse within the DC universe, and that they seem to be doubling down on the multiverse. And with the multiverse idea, uh, they can take the Zack Snyder Justice League and allow that path to grow. They can explore that story in its entirety, and the movie seems to be growing. They talk a little bit about the duration of it and how it gets longer and longer. He's not going to lock down a particular time right now, but it is well over 2 hours. I think we're pushing into the nearly 3 hour time frame. It's over 200 minutes. So what is that? 120, 180. Yeah, we're over 3 hours already. So let's see. Oh, we got a debate going. So let's see. Irish, no, they need to look at what Marvel did and replicate it in their own way, but in a way that makes sense. I agree with you, Irish. And what Zack Snyder mentioned about DC and their multiverse, DC has always been known for the multiverse. The original Crisis on Infinite Earths, which, by the way, I've got in a box just over there. I've got the entire collection here, and it's just over there. I could go over and get them and show you. Those comics were huge, and that was about reducing the multiverse down, right? Because it had kind of gotten way out there. So the Crisis on Infinite Earths was a big deal. They've always had this multiverse idea, and if they were going to go the way Marvel does, Marvel just opened up the can on the multiverse, and they're maybe going to explore that. That's been now, put out there. Well, DC has it all over the multiverse, and might they then explore that in a movie way? So I agree with you there. Adam, Fanjecture. Well, the doves have a meaning for Woo. The lens flares for JJ are annoying. Yeah, they are annoying. RC. No, if they're going to do movies, they should do one-offs and have them be close to, if not R-rated. RC, I think there's room in here for you to be more or less satisfied with that direction, but I think it's in the multiverse direction. They can be harder rated. So you're thinking like the Joker or Harley Quinn kind of stuff, where they're more gore, there's more violence, and they really play into that R rating just off of being action movies rather than driving towards a younger audience. Maybe that's the case, but by pursuing the multiverse, they can have these individual storylines. So for example, we've got the Pattinson, the Batman, those movies are going to be coming out, and they can exist in their own kind of standalone. And that standalone is part of the multiverse. You get the Zack Snyder Justice League, and that's in its own multiverse. Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84, Aquaman, all of these, Man of Steel, those can all be explored with some artistic freedom by those directors and by the writers in a multiverse idea. But they have to be pushed, if they're going to go that direction, they have to be pushing at least some point towards a crisis type event that would bring them back. And I know that they did that on the CW. They had this big cross-platform crisis kind of event. But I would almost just hold off the CW stuff. And I know they kind of messed that with the Arrowverse and bringing in Ezra Miller into that event. But man, oh man, that's a mess. Yeah, they already tried to replicate the MCU. Yeah, they've been a mess, but I think what we see now is a little bit of change of direction under the leadership of AT&T, and bringing that in Warner Brothers has made a huge mess of the DC franchise, and I think they've mishandled it largely. And most of the criticism they get from a lot of DC folks is they want DC to compete with Marvel. And when you see Marvel movies doing so well and being number one across the globe, and so big in foreign markets, and DC floundering as far as like the movies, even the one-offs, you get a Joker that far exceeds expectations, but then you get some other movie come out, Birds of Prey, right? That absolutely fall flat. So we need something that holds DC up, and even Man of Steel, which I enjoy tremendously, got panned by a lot of Superman fans who thought that it was too dark for Superman. And I personally like Justice League, but a lot of people hated Justice League. I personally like Batman versus Superman. A lot of people hated Batman versus Superman. So that's the problem, is that these movies are, while there are portions of the fandom that love them, and some of them perform really well, some they're really, really hit and miss. So it's a big mess. And have they tried to replicate the MCU? Boy, if they tried, they did a terrible, terrible job of it. And I think the direction now is to embrace the strength that they have. Embrace the multiverse from the cinematic universe. You kind of got to throw off, as I mentioned before, the Warner Brothers, the CW stuff. CW stuff has to be its own thing. And you have to then embrace the cinematic universe and say, okay, within the cinematic universe, we have the multiverse going on. Allow that to go, but have a vision and a direction where you're going to build towards this big event and have it meaningful. Irish, yeah, yeah. Why they made to make it make sense? Yeah, had to drop AT&T internet. We don't have AT&T internet where Santa is. Right here at the North Pole, we're limited in our internet options. I can't have Verizon or AT&T. We've only got what is here, where I live, is known as Spectrum, but it's Comcast Spectrum. That's our internet provider. If we want to have a high-speed internet, if I want to go back to DSL, I can go back to Embark. But Embark is terrible, DSL is terrible. It just doesn't stand up. So for me to have high speed internet, it's that or go with one of these rural dish internet providers, which doesn't stand up either. So that's what I've got. Xfinity is worse. I don't even know what Xfinity is. It's an internet provider, but obviously I don't have it. Don't like Ben Affleck. Well, brace yourself, Irish. Ben Affleck is coming back as Batman. We're going to get some more Batfleck or whatever you want to call it. That's happening. Is that good as Batman, sucked as Bruce Wayne? I thought that was a good. Somebody mentioned that understanding that Bruce Wayne is the character and Batman is the person, by telling the story as if Batman is pretending to be Bruce Wayne rather than Bruce Wayne is pretending to be Batman, makes a big difference. And when they do that way, it tells a better story, and I buy into that. So I completely agree with that. Bale pulled off both great. I agree with you, Irish. I've never been a big Ben Affleck fan. He's okay. Certainly not the worst Batman that we've ever had. I thought he did fine. And unlike Josh with the Den of Nerds, I'm very optimistic about Pattinson. I'm not a huge Pattinson fan. I had girls at the right age when the Twilight series came out. My oldest was in that core demographic, and so I was subjected to those at a far greater level than I wanted to be, and uh, they're not for me, right? Those movies, those stories, not for Santa. But and I've never been a fan of Pattinson or of what's her name, that played the female role. She was just in Charlie's Angels, and I watched that. Didn't care for it either. I just don't like her as an actress. She doesn't do it for me. So yeah, that's. I'm optimistic though on Pattinson as Batman. I'm going to go in with a positive vibe. I tend to be more like Adam in that way. I'm more of an apologist for movies than a critic, and I tend to find more to like than dislike, and that's it for me. The Nolan verse best. Yeah, I like the Nolan verse as well. Yeah, very good. Well, we went off path, didn't we? So we started off talking about Star Wars. We were talking specifically about John Boyega, and that's oh no, R.C. Scott, why'd you have to go there? Right? You'd rather watch Adam West as Batman than Bale. Oh, R.C. Mm, mm, mm. No. Look, I was at the age when those TV shows were out when I was young. Mm, yeah, no. Uh, uh, didn't like the Nolan verse Catwoman. Um, Catwoman wasn't as bad as they made it out to be. Not good, but not as bad as they made it out. Michael Keaton. Ooh, yeah, I'm not a huge Michael Keaton fan either. Um, yeah, not a Michael Keaton, not a Adam West. They were okay, but I tend to be more on the side with Irish with Christian Bale. Christian Bale was probably my favorite live action Batman, followed by Ben Affleck. Probably put him in those two. Those would be my top two. Cedric Diggory. There you go, Irish. My very favorite Pattinson role, Cedric Diggory, and Cedric Diggory was utilized in the Harry Potter movies. Diggory's death in the movie far less impactful than in the book. Would have liked to seen the character explored more in the movies, and that wasn't Pattinson's fault. That was just the directors didn't put enough into the character for people to be as invested when he died. But I'm with you there. I'm absolutely with you there. Hashtag Cedric Diggory. Yeah. Again, the books play that out far better than the movies. Same with Dobby. Dobby was far better in the books, and the loss of Dobby in the end was absolutely crushing, heartbreaking. Like have to stop reading because you can't read. Kind of crushing in the books, and in the movie it's heartbreaking. You see the emotional toil it took, but it doesn't have the same impact, I think, at all. So, again, going back, we started talking about John Boyega. Would we see Boyega back as Finn? I agree with Adam. I don't think we're going to see him in that role anytime soon. However, if he thinks 9 years is more than a decade, when he says that he's done with the role, I want to think that maybe he'll relent on that in the future, and we will get something with the big three again. As the fans age, and those become more accepted by the fans of that age as they grow older, I want to hope that we'll see them in post Rise of Skywalker setting. But I don't think I don't think we're going to see that for onward of a decade, and even then, it's doubtful. I think far more likely to see Finn in animated series, and even more likely than that, we'll see it in novelizations and in comic book form, where those stories are expanded. Much like, as I said, I've been reading the Young Jedi Knight junior novels, and following the Solo twins as they've been going through Skywalker school, and that it those stories I could very well see being told differently, but with Rey and Finn as leading the school. So, yeah, it killed you in the movie when Diggory died. Yeah, really, really bad. Yeah, RC, I was with you with Buckbeak. I was like, no, you can't let that happen. And they don't show it on screen. You don't get it until they kind of rewind when they're going back and see that they got Buckbeak out, because you don't know that. When the axe fell the first time, I thought, oh, my heart just dropped. Yeah. Yeah, severely disappointed by Finn's roles in the sequel. I think a lot of people were Irish, but at the same time, I understand they're trying to tell a story of Rey, and there's only so much cinematic time that they could spend with Finn, and he wasn't the core of the film. Neither was Oscar Isaac's role as Poe. We barely get enough of Rey's story to make that fluid, and I don't think there was time to explore the other two as much as anybody wanted them to be, at least in the stories that they told. Maybe if they told a different story, told it differently, we could have gotten that, but that wasn't the story they were telling, and based on that, there just wasn't time to explore those. That's why I would personally love to see those explored more in the animated series, and I think we can get those on Disney Plus sooner than later. Certainly, we wouldn't have to wait a decade to get them. That's how I feel about it. RC Scott, you're killing me, man. You're killing me. But I hear you. It's not unfair. It's not unfair. You're absolutely right. Hey, I wanted to just touch base again real quick here at the end. I am very, very close. At least let me check again right now before we close off. I am getting very close to 100 subscribers. Last time I checked, I was sitting at 99, 98, something like that. I only need one or two more people. 98. Santa's sitting at 98. If I could get 2 more subscribers, I would really appreciate if you guys would put a like on this stream. Thumbs up or thumbs down. It works for the YouTube algorithm. It's just some interaction with the channel. I appreciate your chats in here. Those have been tremendously helpful. If you would, if you haven't subscribed, if you would share this with your social media, with your friends, folks that might enjoy being engaged with this kind of discussion and this kind of take on Star Wars and on some of the movies and other things that are going on. I would really appreciate it. We can get this over 100. That would be a fantastic benchmark. First start as we start to grow and be able to engage with more of the fandom out there, and I really appreciate it. It's been a great Monday. It's been a great day. If you missed Adam's channel this morning, it was great. The coffee spilling episode, as it should be named from now on, the coffee spill episode was gold. If you missed Fan Gestures from this morning, I would encourage you to find that video from today, the live stream morning brew, and play it at 2x speed until you get to the coffee spill, and then slow it down and take it in. That was absolute gold. And if you don't know what lettuce hands are, I've had fun all day today with the lettuce hands analogy. That was absolutely fantastic. and Adam Lettuce Hands Fanjecture is well, it has made my day. It absolutely made my day. I enjoyed that through the day. So catch Fanjecture if you haven't, and that morning brew. We had a ton of fun, and what a great way to end the day as well. Chatting with you guys in this live stream. So thanks for being here. I will go ahead and cut it off now. And thanks, Irish. It was great to see you. Yeah, I know we don't get on here in RC. Love getting Adam riled up. That's why Adam and Josh are so fun to watch together, because they feed off of each other. And I love it when Josh starts saying that Adam is what's he call it? What's the term? Daggone it. I just lost the term. But when those two get going, it is great. And I enjoyed Trinity's stream this morning. He went on a huge tirade at the very beginning, talking about the comic book industry and some of the drama that's going on there. So it's been a great day, absolute great day with the live streams today. I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed this community. It's fantastic. Do I have a Twitter? I do, but it's on my own personal account. It's Miller, Miller, and then my zip code here. So it's Miller 43334. That's my Twitter account. It's not a Star Wars Santa. It's my own personal one, and I use it for some of my Santa Claus stuff. I have Facebook for my Santa Claus stuff. It's Coming to Town with the number 2 instead of the word 2. So it's Coming the number 2 Town. It's a Facebook page for my Santa Claus business there as well. So toxic man baby. My question: who's the toxic man baby? Adam or Trinity? It depends on the day of the week, because Trinity could be accused of being there from time to time. He embraces it. He goes into the role with both feet. That's great. Thanks, Irish. I appreciate it. I truly do. This has just been absolute fun. Hopefully we get some more news tomorrow, and we'll put something back out. Yeah, I know Trinity calls Adam a toxic man baby, but I think a lot of times it's that adage where when you're pointing a finger, there are 4 pointed back at you, or 3, I don't know how you get 4. You got 3 pointed back at you. So I think a lot of times that's Trinity is taking the role of toxic man baby, and he plays it really well. He plays it really well. But he was on a tirade this morning. It was a lot of fun. So you guys, we'll catch you all tomorrow. We'll be on the regular streams. We'll be interacting with you guys, and look forward to another day with this community. So you guys have a great evening. Have a wonderful evening. Spend some time with your family and loved ones. Do something to help make somebody's day a little bit brighter. You've made my day brighter, and I thank you so much for it. Have a great evening, and Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye-bye. We'll see you soon.